Hobby Quick Hits. Delivering that breaking hobby news directly to your earlobes. You want to know those hot drops from the card shop? We've got you covered. With your host, John Newman.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Hobby Quick Hits. Today, we're going to talk about the topic or name of the episodes, why I will probably never do another LCS card store. Did a card store for 6-7 years, from 92 to 97, whatever that equals, and loved it, and it was a great time in my life. I was full-time in the hobby during that time, and different era of the hobby, that's for sure. Nothing doesn't match up to what we have now, but still fun just the same. And I get asked about if I'd ever do a card store, and I kind of sort of joked that I probably would, if I could set it up in Cooperstown. But I honestly would love to do a card store again. This episode's not me, pooping on card stores. I love card stores. I love going to them. I think they're very important to the hobby. And I'll never say never, to be 100% transparent. But I get asked, my son asks me every once in a while. Other people who know I had a store back in the day will ask if I'd ever do it again. And I usually say no. This episode is not really a negative episode. I'm just going to go over the reasons why I probably would never do it again. Again, probably never. Not never 100%, but why it probably most likely won't happen. And some of those reasons will, illustrate how tough it is to run an LCS. So kudos to those who are doing it. It's not easy work, and it's needed work in the hobby. And it is work. Anyone that owns an LCS will tell you, while it's fun, there's some work involved in it. So I'm just going to go kind of deep dive into myself to why I don't really want to go back there again, so to speak. So it doesn't mean I don't sell cards. I definitely do that. I do that out of my home office, if you will, card shows when I set up at those. And that's been great in itself too, and I'll get into more specifics when we get to that segment later on in the show. But before we get the show started, want to hear from our great sponsors, Mojo Brakes.
MojoBrakeShop.com is the best place to get your sealed wax products and brakes. They not only have the best selection, but the best prices. Whether it's a box or a whole case, they are your guys. They ship worldwide to your doorstep. Their reputation as one of the most trusted in the hobby goes unmatched. They are the 2021 Topps Rip Party Champion Breakers. From sports cards to Pokemon cards, their selection can't be beat. They offer daily deals and pre-orders.
Hey guys, it's Max again from the Sports Card Shop at Moco, and I'm back again with our weekly releases for this week. Starting off the week on the 16th, we have 2021 Onyx Gems Baseball and 2021 Topps Formula One Racing, 2022 Topps Series 1 Baseball, Topps 2022 Topps Star Wars Signature Series, 2021-22 Panini Donruss Elite Basketball is on the 18th, and on the 18th again we have Panini Immaculate Soccer and 2021 Pro Set Power Football. This week's exclusive Sports Card Nation deal is 2021 Pro Set Metal Baseball for $159. Find us and follow us on social media @_Sports Card Shop to get the deal. Back to you, John.
Answer my question! The question!
I'll answer the question. You want answers?
All right, today's show question comes actually from our Facebook page through Messenger from Sean Fisher. And Sean asked, love the show, what is your best attribute? And when I say attribute, not in life, but when it comes to hobby and content creation. So focusing in, Sean, on your question as far as content creation and hobby. And I know people hate when I do this because I pick more than one thing, best attribute. I want to say two things, grit and empathy, right? And I'll explain both. Grit and empathy. Empathy is, as I think most people know, is just caring about things, caring about others, caring about whatever you're talking about, caring about people. So that's a huge thing. If I didn't care, I'd never turn this mic on and do a podcast. If I didn't care about the hobby, if I didn't care about people, hence the the tagline of the show, the hobby's the people. Dr. Beckett did a Sports Card Insights where he mentioned me and empathy, and very flattered by that. And if I may be so bold, I believe it's true. So I care. And the minute I stop caring, which I don't foresee happening, but hypothetically, that's, then I'm done doing this for sure. Because if you don't care, what are we doing, right? So empathy is probably a big trait of mine that I have, so as far as how you get that way, just I think how you're raised and how you feel. I don't know if there's a secret sauce to that. And grit. And someone said, well, what is grit? Grit is, even when something bad happens, you kind of just keep plugging away. You dust yourself off and you keep going. Another word that I kind of align with grit's perseverance, right? You just, you keep plugging along. You even when you don't feel like doing something anymore, you do it. And, so you persevere. So you got to have a lot of grit. Sometimes grit is actually better than talent. It's a big debate, some, people have, what's better to have, grit or talent. I think, obviously both are good to have, but grit can go a long way because you can kind of just roll with the punches, keep going. So I know you asked for one and I gave you two, but I'll say, grit and empathy, and the combination of both for me seems to work. Sean, I appreciate the question. Thank you. Anyone else ever has a question, please email it, DM us to any of our social medias, or email us, and you might hear me answer it on the air as I just did with Sean's. It's time for the Hobby What's Up, where we go around the hobby world and tell you all the latest news and breaking stories from the hobby we love.
What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up?
That sound is two slabs, graded cards, going up against one another, and more news. What I'm coining Slabgate, Mark's Cards, not paying almost $1 million bill to PSA, where everyone's cards that were submitted kind of sort of being held hostage. Some news on that front. PSA said those folks will be getting their cards graded and back. A time-consuming process because of how many cards and how many different people are involved. The owner of Mark's Cards, a person named Michael Manjares, has filed for bankruptcy. Lots of creditors named, but some interesting ones. One of his bookkeepers, accountants, if you will, paid themselves twice. They're supposed to get $48,000 and took $90,000, disappeared allegedly. That's what he said. PSA is listed as a creditor. I think there was over 60 people listed as a creditor. So be interesting to see how that turns out. The good news is everybody should at some point have their cards back in graded form. And relating to that, PSA has announced that they will no longer take group submissions where they're paid for after they're done grading. They will require 50% paid up front. Still going to say that's not good enough. Do what the other grading companies do. Paid in full. When I send cards to SGC, they're a sponsor. I still pay everything when I submit the cards. So, you're asking for trouble. Even at the 50% rate, if someone submits $8 million worth of submissions, you could still be left holding a $4 million bag. So, you pay for what you submit. They're supposed to have the money anyway from the people who are submitting through them. Why are you only taking half? It makes no sense to this guy. One of these weeks, we're going to get through an episode without talking about a robbery or a burglary, but it won't be this week. American Dreams in Dallas, Texas. Smash and grab. Smashed the front window, smashed the showcase. 9,000 graded cards taken. Owner Scott Mann said it could have been worse, that many of the cards that they took, there were more valuable ones around it, so they may not know exactly what they're doing, but there is surveillance photos of 2 suspects, so hopefully those people are caught and pay for their crimes, and those cards somehow get back to American Dreams in Dallas, Texas. And maybe next week we won't have another smash and grab or robbery story to report, but I wouldn't bet on it. CSG Grading has announced that their Pop Report is now live, and it can be viewed on any device with an internet connection, and the app as well.
Well, Mickey, come on in. Welcome to Home Run Derby. How are you going to hit today?
I'm going to hit right-handed today, Mark.
Is that your best power?
Well, most all of my real long home runs have been from the right-hand side of the plate.
Topps has announced a NFT, Mickey Mantle, based on the iconic 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle card. This NFT will be only one produced, so it'll be a one-of-one NFT, and it will be on the OpenSea platform. It will be up for auction from March 1st to March 4th, so a 3-day window. And the high bidder, besides getting the one-on-one NFT, will also get an interview with Danny Mantle and David Mantle. For those that don't know, those are Mickey Mantle's 2 sons. So there is a little bit of more than just the NFT. You get the interview with David and Danny Mantle. Staying with Topps news, the 70th anniversary event that was supposed to originally take place in Las Vegas in November was rescheduled and held in New York City. Your 2 guests of honors, Don Manley and Vlad Guerrero Sr. Many exclusive factory sets and boxes were given out to the people attending the event, which is the 150 tickets in Series 1, 50 tickets in Series 2 to be pulled. There were buybacks also given out, and some specialty cards. So a lot of cool stuff given away at the event. And if you want to get it, get out your checkbook and check the secondary markets. I'm sure that some of that will be available there for you. Speaking of getting out your checkbook, Michael Jordan fans may want to get out their checkbooks as well. A full unused game ticket from his debut on October 26, 1984 will be available through Heritage Auctions. By the way, on 10/26, 1984, that was Jordan's first ever game, his debut. It was also my wife's 10th birthday, so no auction items to celebrate that, though. So let's go back to Jordan. 10/26/84's debut, a full unused game ticket will be going through Heritage Auctions starting on February 26th. There's been 20 graded tickets from his debut, but very few, I believe, are in full unused form. Remember, this is old school days, right? When you go through the style, through the person taking your ticket, the ticket taker, they rip off part of the ticket and then give you the rest of it. This was a ticket from a college kid named Michael Cole back in 1984, who had a ticket for the game, but something came up and he could not go, and he had the wherewithal to still keep this ticket 38 years later. and he's going to be a very rich man if he isn't already because of that decision. The highest ticket went for $264,000, and so this is expected to surpass that. Matter of fact, the auction's underway, and I checked, and it was up to $250,000, and there was still time left. The auction will end in a few weeks, so expect it to pass that $264K mark. All right, I'm sure everyone's heard about Tom Brady and his retirement. This has nothing to do with hobby news, but I wanted to throw in a prediction. Well, in a sense, it's hobby news as people flock to the auction and selling sites to buy up Tom Brady's. I sold a few in that capacity myself, but I'm going to call it right now. You NFL and fans have not seen the last of Tom Brady. I think he returns to play at least one more year, if not two. Maybe takes a year off, maybe comes back before the start of the next season, but I don't think this is going to be the permanent retirement. And if it isn't, you better believe I'm going to say, I told you so. All right, welcome to another episode of Hobby Quick Hits. So I get asked a lot, if I'd ever open up a card store again. People that know I had a card store in the 90s ask if I ever do it again. People who don't even know that I had a card store in the 90s just know what my hobby experience, would I ever open a card store. I get that question, pretty frequently. Probably one of the most asked questions. We're seeing the rise of LCS. We're seeing a lot more people, even maybe not opening a store, but going full time in the hobby, where they're letting their job go, turning in their notice, putting in their 2 weeks, and starting a full time hobby career. And that's awesome. I'm supportive of that. I think it's great. And all that. But I wanted to, it's something I'll, probably 95% say I'll never do, at least during my working years here, which, I'm 48 years old. So, whatever the math you want to do, how many working years I have left. But I want to, I always say I'm probably not going to, but I never go into real specifics why. And I wanted to take this show why I can't do it or why I won't do it. And it may ring true to some of you who have thought about it. And others might say, well, that's you, John, and not me. And again, no one is wrong here. I'm just speaking for myself on this episode. So before we get to that, let's hear from our great sponsors, Mojo Break, doing big things in Santa Clara, California, and across the world. Hey folks, wanted to tell you about the best place to get some of your sealed sports card wax products. Great selection and some of the lowest prices on the web. MojoBreakShop.com is that place. Whether it's a box or a whole case, they're your guys, and they ship around the world right to your door. The Mojo Break name is one of the most trusted in the hobby. From sports cards to Pokemon, their selection can't be beat. They offer daily deals and pre-orders. Who won first place at this year's Topps Rip Party? None other than Mojo Break. Their prices are already great, but here's a way to save even more money. Use the code QUICKHITS, that's QUICKHITS, for 10% off anything on MojoBreakShop.com. They also have a full-service card shop in Santa Clara, California. So if you're in the area, stop by. They're open 7 days a week, so check them out at MojoBreakShop.com. A little pre-qualifier here. I love the hobby. I love sports cards. Do not take what I'm about to say as anything else. That's not the case. So when I get asked if I'm going to, if I'd ever go full-time or open a card store again, I'd love to. I think it'd be fun. I think it would be cool to do it. And, they say if you love what you do, right, it's not really work. And that's kind of where I'm leading into here, because I recently started a new career and which proves that even at any age you can kind of, pivot and start a new career. And I'm in the teaching assistant field. I'm under the teacher's contract, teacher's benefits, teacher's union, and there are a lot of perks, a lot of good benefits. And that's one reason. That's probably my number one reason that I don't want to get out of the regular workforce, if you will, is the benefits. I have a wife that I've been married to for 22 years, and she has lupus. She's doing okay, but lupus is an autoimmune disease that requires regular and constant doctor visits and some medications. There's no cure for it. You just try to control it and keep the symptoms as minimal as possible. And so she's going to the doctor quite a bit. And so medical benefits for us are crucial. And it's not that you can't go full-time and own a card store and not have medical benefits. That's not what I'm saying. You can, but when you pay for your own medical benefits solely, it's very, very expensive. And the benefits that I'm under now with the under the teachers union contract are the best I've ever had in my whole working career. So good, in fact, that my wife, who's actually a nurse as well as having lupus, has canceled her insurance through her own medical place. This will tell you how good the benefits are, and went on to my benefits under the teachers union contract. They pay 90% of the cost for family coverage, and so my benefits are good. I appreciate that. We talk about what's your salary, what do you make a year, but benefits are an important part of that too. And so that alone would be very hard to give up. The job I do now, I've done it on my first month. I've just about completed my first month on the job, and I'm not just saying this. I absolutely love what I do. I enjoy waking up, getting ready to go to work, going to work. Where I used to dread Sunday nights with my previous job in the transportation industry, where I taught classes there. So I have a teaching sort of background, but I really, really started to have a disdain for that job, where Sunday nights I dreaded the upcoming work week, and those days are over. I enjoy what I do. It's a great group of kids. It's a great group of co-staff, teachers, TAs, social workers that I work with every day, and it's great camaraderie, great staff, and really, really enjoy my job. Enjoy the kids as I've gotten to know them and they've gotten to know me, and to having a job where you make an impact and you fulfill, it's fulfilling. It's a fulfilling job. I didn't have that before, at least with the previous job, and so glad. I wish I kind of transitioned sooner, quite frankly. So I love my job. I love the benefits that come along with it. I love the people I get to work with on a daily basis. I love the fact that I'm making an impact in young folks' life, and there's something to be said about that. But even besides that, I think about, going full time. I'm sort of doing that without doing that. And here's what I mean. Like, I like revenue streams, and I'm going to be 100% transparent with what I'm about to say. Where do my revenue streams come from besides my teaching employment? Well, I still sell cards. It's not like I'm not selling cards. I still sell cards on a lot of platforms: eBay, ComC, MySlab, StarStock, Sportlots. Through my own website, not on an actual platform. At card shows, which I've really started to do more again. And with this new job, that's the other thing. It's 7 hours a day, where I was working 12 hours a day. So I have more time actually to devote to podcasting, to the cards, and getting ready for shows. And so, I have revenue streams. The ones I just mentioned with cards, the shows itself, podcasting, through sponsorships and downloads. That creates revenue as well. 2 streams of revenue when it comes to the podcast. Full disclosure, I don't do the podcast for financial gain. That's not my motivation. If I had no sponsors and, Spreaker Prime didn't pay for downloads, I'd still do the show. I hope Spreaker Prime's not listening. But, all joking aside, that's not my motivation for turning the mic on. My motivation to turn the mic on is the passion I have for the hobby, to try to teach and educate and learn. I don't matter how long you've been in this hobby, you better be learning almost every day, if not every day, and I do, or try to at least. And I love doing the shows, and that's why I do them. Someone asked me, when do you know like it's time to stop podcasting? And it's a simple answer. I know it's probably not as simple as I make it, but it really is. When I don't enjoy putting in the work, doing the research, writing notes down, and turning that mic on, and starting to record what's on my mind, or a topic I want to discuss, or talking to great people in the hobby, as I do on Sports Card Nation. When I don't have that passion or love or excitement or enthusiasm to that anymore, which I don't ever foresee happening, but never, you don't know. But if that was to ever go, that's my answer to stop podcasting. So it's not financial gain. I know someone, I've been accused of that. I'm not going to lie. I laugh at it because it's not true. And people are entitled to their opinion. But believe me, it's not the motivation. So, there's that revenue stream. There's my regular job revenue stream. There's my card revenue stream. I drive 5 hours a week doing Uber, 1 hour a day after my school day, which I absolutely love. I'm a people person. Get to talk with people, get them to where they need to be. I usually stay around the Syracuse University campus when I do that. And again, young people, helping them get to where they need to go. And that's a revenue stream. Other revenue streams I'm in, I do stocks, bonds, IRAs, 401k, and teachers' retirement pension is going to be one later on down the line. I've said this on some shows in the past. I do gold and silver, precious metals. I own some of that. So I have multiple revenue streams, very diversified in terms of where money can come from if need be. And I like having multiple, right? Not that you can't go full-time in the hobby or have an LCS and not do all that stuff, but if you're going full-time in anything, right, means you're not working a regular job, if you will, full-time. I don't want to give that up. So I'm making card money. I'm making podcast money, investment money, side hustle with Uber money. I don't want to give any of that up. I don't want to do just one thing. And I'm going to be honest with you. I just had a show where I did very well, and still working my regular job. I don't want to give up any of those revenue streams at all. I don't want to give up not one of them. So I'm not looking necessarily to do just one thing only. I like sort of having multiple incomes, multiple revenue streams. I'm not here on the air trying to brag or say I'm a millionaire or anything like that. But I want to be, as you know, I'm 48 and I'm coming down to sort of the back nine of life. I want to be comfortable to the point where, hey, I want to go to the National for a week. Hey, I want to go to Dallas for 3 days. Hey, me and my wife want to go to this country for a week at some point. Again, in pandemic times, some of that stuff had to take a little bit of a backseat, as we all know. But, we're kind of getting back to what will be the new normalcy. I want to be in a position where we can make those trips. I can make those trips solo. My wife did a girls' trip to Rehoboth Beach, Maryland, with her co-workers, her female co-workers, nurses. It was a girls' trip only. I like to be able to, that we can do that and not have to really worry too much. If we want to, go out to eat or take even a weekend trip, I like the fact that I can do that. When you get into a full-time store, you're sort of you have hours, you got to honor them. There used to be a store in this town that had hours, but then when you went to it, there'd be a sign on the door, emergency, or had to leave, be back at this time, then they wouldn't even come back at the time they said they were coming back, so they didn't honor their hours. Needless to say, that store doesn't exist anymore, right? And so you got to be, one of the reasons I gave up my store in the 90s was I was obviously younger. I was in my 20s. I had a lot of friends saying, hey, John, we're going here. We're going on a road trip. We're going to see this rock concert in, Pennsylvania. You want to go? Come on, man, let's go. And I always kind of say, hey, I love to go, man. Don't hate me, but I got to be at the store, right? I got to open up the store. And I love the store. I'm not, I wasn't dreading it, but I had to say no to some fun stuff in my 20s and be at the store. And then eBay came along, and I realized I can sell cards when I'm sleeping 24/7, and then still do card shows, still have my inventory, and still be able to go to do things with my friends. And that was really the number one factor to why I left the store and got out of the LCS. Loved all 7 years of my existence in the LCS, and would love doing a store again. I've said the only way, truthfully, I'd probably do it is it'd have to be in Cooperstown with a retail space there where I get some living space above the store and kind of can commute the hour and 10 minutes that it's from Cooperstown to my house. And I'd love for my son to be involved, so I don't have to be there every day, right? And so I can do other things in life. Cards are a big part of my life. But, someone asked me, what percentage of cards and the podcast is of your life? And I think I figured out by the hours I put into it, it's between 10 and 20% of my time. And that's not a lot. So, while it's important to me and I have a passion for it, it's only a small part of who I am. I think some people, the truth be told, it's kind of, we talk about being consumed by things, and not just a hobby. That can be anything, a regular job, a sport, whatever. You can be consumed and addicted to anything. I don't want to be. And that would be one of my fears of going full time, folks, too, is that I'm not consumed by cards. I can go away for 3 days and not touch a card. I can go away for 3 days and not turn on this microphone. I can go away for 2 weeks. I control that narrative, right? How involved or not involved I want to be. When you go full time in something, right, it's harder to take a vacation, right? Because if you own your own business, you're not getting paid when you're closed. Now, cards, I get it. You got cards listed on platforms. You could be in the Bahamas and get a sales notification. I get it. But your store's closed. You're not getting that walk-in business with having a full-time store if that's the route you go. And, I love what I do now with teaching, right? When kids have the winter break off, days off, I get them too. I don't have to request them. I don't have to put in for vacation time. I get them off. They're paid, and that's one of the perks of my gig. I appreciate that. I enjoy that, and I don't want to lose that. So, it's even, like I said, even if I open that store in Cooperstown I think I would still do what I do, and that's where my son would come in. If he could kind of run it, I'll get there, the weekend, maybe just commute once or twice during the week after work, if you will, that sort of thing. But that would be really the only situation where I see a store working. I've said many times here in Syracuse, I don't believe we have the card market for a store. I know that sounds crazy with as hot as the hobby really has been, and still very strong, but we just don't. Shows once every 3 months, I think, is the recipe for success here in Syracuse. I know other markets have stronger local economy towards cards. I don't think Syracuse is in that space, as far as there are card collectors here. I'm not trying to say that. I just don't know if there's enough to really sustain a store and the overhead. Unless you get the right spot, cheap rent, but usually cheap rent's bad location, 90% of the time. So not really looking. I support. I've had friends that have made those announcements, very supportive of that. Chase your dreams, your passions. I did it already too. That's the other thing. Maybe if I've never did a store before, I'd have more of the itch to do it because I've never, charted into those waters. But I have, so I don't. It's not an unknown quantity to me, so I don't have that same. Regret. Like I wish I did a store when I was younger. I did. And again, I love cards. I have a passion for it. I just don't want to give up certain revenue streams that I'd probably have to give up. And perks, not just revenue, but even perks when it comes to insurance and different things like that. You got to be self-insured. Your bills are going to go up. You got to get, we're seeing stores get robbed, stolen, broken into. There's a lot more cost in today's LCS than in 1992 when I last did it. And, you also make more. I get it. You can say, well, John, yeah, there's more cost, but cards are going for more money. I get it. I hear you, and you're right. But for me and kind of where I'm at now at this stage in my life, I really don't want to. I don't want to. I've got a good balance of what I do, where cards has its place, the show has its place. I still play softball. I still do things with my family. I still travel, still do things. I go to rock concerts again out there. They're starting up again. I like just being able to do a lot of different things. I think when you do a store full time, 6-7 days a week, you have to sacrifice some other things. And I'm going to say something that might surprise you. I love cards, but I don't think I love cards to that level now at my age to give up a lot of the other things in my life, whether that be traveling, going to shows, doing shows, doing things with my wife, my son, dinner, concerts, day trips, and that sort of thing. I don't want to give those up, and having a store full time, or even doing cards full time without the four walls. I think you're sort of locked in, and you have to sacrifice some of those other things. I sacrificed a lot of things from 92 to 97, and I don't want to do that now. I don't know what time I have left. Hopefully it's more than less, but I want to enjoy that more time or whatever I have and do a lot of different things rather than kind of be consumed into one channel. That's just me. And again, I love LCSs. We've seen a comeback. I'm just put my fist in the air. You can't see that. I love it. LCSs, there's something about walking into a card store, talking to the owner, talking to fellow hobbyists in the store, trading, buying a box off the shelf, buying some packs, ripping them in the store, that camaraderie, that in person, rather than buying a card off a selling platform and hope it's the same card you get in the mail 4 or 5 or more days later. Nothing wrong with that, but there's something about those in-person social interactions, transactions that you can't get on social media or purchasing on the internet, if you will. And glad to see LCS has come back. Sad to see some of the crimes that we've seen that they've taken a hit there, but hopefully that thing gets turned around in a good way. But love it. Love people who are going full time. If that's your passion to that level, I don't think I have passion. I don't think my passion is to that level at this point of my life. Doesn't mean I don't love cards, folks. Doesn't mean I don't. I'm not in the hobby buying cards, selling cards. I just don't have that level of passion to do something 7 days a week, 6 days a week, be locked in, seatbelt on. That bar, the bar comes down and the ride's in motion and you really can't get off, right? It's that roller coaster. I did it. I rode that ride. I appreciated that ride. I just don't want to get back on it at this point, age 48, and doing some of the different things I'm doing now that I wasn't doing in my 20s. And those that are doing it, love it. Follow your dreams. Follow your passions. It's the same thing I would tell students. I'm going to tell anybody, right? You're never too old for a career change. I just did one. You're never too old to open a card store either. I could do it if I just had that level of passion. I just don't. So if you're 50, 60, and you want to open a card store, 70, go do it. Good luck. God bless you. Follow your dreams. You're never too old or young to follow your dreams. And that's a good note to end on right there. Thanks for giving the show some time. We'll see you next time on Hobby Quick Hits. All right, that's going to do it for another episode of Hobby Quick Hits. As always, thank you for listening to the show. And just, a little disclaimer here. While I may say, me doing an LCS again is probably not in the cards, pun intended, please don't take that as anti-LCS. I'm only speaking for myself and financials. The location I'm in here in Syracuse is a big factor, as you heard me say. But if it's a dream of yours or you're doing it, that's awesome. Pursue that. If it's a dream of yours and you want to do it, go down that road. Don't let this show, kind of discourage you. Again, I'm only speaking for my current situation. Location of where I reside and all that stuff. So everyone's situation is different. This was just a piece about me. But if you want to do a store or you're very close to doing it, I support that. LCSs are a huge deal to me as a former one, as you heard in the episode, for 6 years. So I enjoyed going to them. And please don't let my situation affect you in what you want to do. I know you won't, but I definitely wanted to say that. So with that being said, we'll see you very soon.